My name is Sascha Toll, and I am the ground station manager and the space operations lead of the FHA SOF, the space operations facility of the University of Applied Sciences of Aachen. And there we operate a ground station for students, operated by students, for the purely purpose of education, in order to learn everything that can be learned about operations of spacecraft. I wrote this software for the students in order to allow them to perform satellite tracking at home at ease without the need of buying expensive hardware, because often you live in a very small apartment somewhere in a big city like Aachen, and you do not have the room and place outside to bring a suitable satellite receiving antenna and to buy expensive hardware. And that's why I advise my students to use WebSDR, web-based radio stations that can receive amateur radio frequencies, and some of those have the capability to receive also satellite signals. And this application, so-called WebSDR cat control, allowed to use Orbitron as a satellite propagator software that can perform predictions when a certain satellite will pass over a certain ground station, and then transport the doppler-shift corrected frequencies and control the WebSDR receiver, which is operated inside of a web browser, to track the satellite without doing anything manually. For that, you first need to configure a web browser, because WebSDR will then always be started inside of that web browser. So let's first go into preferences. We work mostly with Firefox because WebSDR stations work best with Firefox. So this is the default location. If you have another location for your preferred web browser, then you should look for that browser and then click on it. And then WebSDR cat control will then save that location so that it can always call that browser. Then you click on OK, and then this will be saved in a configuration file for later use. Okay, so now we have our web browser. Let's search for a suitable WebSDR station. We start the web browser, and that web browser will then automatically open the portal of WebSDR.org, where you can choose from a lot of WebSDR stations. There are really many. I would like now to find a WebSDR station that would be capable of receiving weather satellites. And the weather satellite downlink frequency is always about 137 megahertz for the low resolution NOAA satellites. And you see, there are only 3 sites available at the moment. So we can look, for example, for the station in Murmansk. So let's open that station in a new tab. And you see here already that this station is very suitable for receiving satellites. But unfortunately, what this site doesn't have is a very important button, and that is a button that is a checkbox that allows you to operate that WebSDR station using only your keypad. And so that station doesn't have that, so let's look for another one. We have one here, this one in Novoronezh. So let's open that one. And let's look if, yes, so that station here has this checkbox, which is very important to check, because only if you allow keyboard, the WebSDR cat control can then track the Doppler corrected frequency from Orbitron. And yes, so now let's add it using the task manager, and then we look in the task manager for a Mozilla Firefox entry that is showing our WebSDR station in Novoronezh, R3KEE. And then we click to add this WebSDR station. Now we need to look for the location of that station, and that is here in Russia. So let's copy this text, and then we copy the URL of that WebSDR station. So paste, and downlink correction. No, we do not apply downlink correction because it's not for a specific satellite, so that's not really needed. Okay, so now we can add this station, and this station will now appear here in our WebSDR cat control. Now we need also to add this WebSDR station into our Orbitron, because with Orbitron only you can now perform path predictions. So let's go to location, and then we call this station with the name that it has. That's that one. This is the Maidenhead locator, which is an amateur radio way of finding any location on the Earth. And here is the call sign of that of the station operator. So let's also include that call sign. Okay, now we choose that one, and yes, that is the location of that station. Let's verify this. That looks pretty awesome. That's the station. Yes. Okay. So now we are good. We have now the location on Earth of that station configured in Orbitron. So we could now perform a path prediction to get an idea about the next passes of satellites over that WebSDR station. Okay, then let's look for next passes of NOAA satellites or weather satellites, for example that one. Oh, but that's in about 4 hours from now. So then I will be already in my bed. Okay, now it's 9:57 local time here in Germany, and we are still using the Russian WebSDR station R3KEE. And I just performed a new path prediction. I see that there will be nothing really interesting for us. There are only very low elevations. But I see here a knife. So this knife is a little bit too far away. So we have only 17 degrees of elevation. But if we wait a little bit, maybe some 1 or 2 hours for the next pass, we could already be pretty close to Great Britain. So let us try the Gunili ground station. Maybe we are lucky in that we would not have to wait that much. So the Gunili ground station I had already installed here in my list of ground stations. There it is, Gunili ground station. Choose, and then let's perform a path prediction to see if maybe this would be interesting for us for now, for the next couple of hours. Okay, let's see what we've got. We have JY satellite. We have a naive satellite here at 10, but that's only 5 degrees. So let's wait to find something better. We would have a NOAA, but Gunili station does not have antennas for NOAA satellites, so these we need to ignore. We would have the ISS, that's also interesting. Maybe the ISS is active today. I know that they had some maneuvers to perform with cargo shipping. Then the amateur radio transmitter is off. Here, I think that one would be interesting. So in about 2 hours. There we are. And we need to activate a low keyboard. To activate the MyDD client prior to engage. Okay. Now let's go to the Finder. Look if we have a valid connection. Okay, so we need to disengage again. Start my DDE driver again. Focus again. Engage. On the Gunili ground station. Okay, there we have it. Nice, that needs USB. So upper sideband. And I think we have already the frequency for the knife set. So let us just jump in using the radio automatic mode control just to jump into the region of knife set. So I go to manual back again, so that's it. Oh, look there, we have already. There it is. Okay. Let's stop a while. We are a little bit too, I would say 5. That was too much. Let's say 8. There we are, okay. We can try to fix a little bit, to correct a little bit the adjusting the downlink correction. That was maybe a little bit too much. Okay, now let's immediately load the knife dashboard. Start the knife dashboard. Here we have the knife dashboard and start capturing from the sound card and engage. There we have it. There is telemetry coming in. You see this? That's the telemetry of knife set. Nice. And that's what is possible with WebSDR cat control. So you can jump from one ground station to the other. So that's really nice because there are a lot of ground stations out there in WebSDR. And on the fly, you can now set up, choose your satellite, jump in the WebSDR ground station where the satellite is passing over. Then just tune in with doppler-shift correction. That's what we are doing here. It's following now the satellite with respect to the doppler-shift of that ground station, seen from that ground station, the Gunili ground station at the moment. And we get the pretty awesome and beautiful telemetry. Nice. 3.7 degrees of elevation. We still get telemetry data. Yeah, it's still updating. It's not likely that we can decode every packet that's coming in, but it was still decoding at 3.2 degrees of elevation. Okay, but now it will faint, so at one point or another it will disappear behind the horizon. There's just a couple of buildings or some mountains, then it doesn't have any more the direct contact from antenna to satellite. And I think that was it. Okay. That was it about the demonstration of WebSDR cat control. So we can stop tracking it and I hope that this tutorial was useful for you and helpful, and that you find also the WebSDR cat control interesting, and maybe you got an idea and want to track some satellites over WebSDR. I can only recommend it.